Gotham City.
There goes
a car. He'll make the bodies drop.
Have no fear,
Gordon
is here. The formula is safe with a
homeless car.
He's got a redhead in his arms. Though he's a lover, when you are in trouble, have no fear. Look who's here, James
Gordon!
They've got us on the run with guns and knives. We're fighting for our lives. Have no fear,
Gordon
is here. He's gonna save the world at
Gotham City. At Gotham City.
the formula is safe with a
Homeless car.
He's got a redhead in his arms. Though he's a lover, when you are in trouble, have no fear. Look who's here, James
Gordon!
They've got us on the run with guns and knives. We're fighting for our lives. Have no fear,
Gordon
is here. He's gonna save the world at
Gotham City. James Gordon.
He's here, so have no fear.
And you're listening to the Gotham Chronicle podcast, powered by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out the Batman Universe for this and many other great Batman podcasts. I'm Josh, and joining me is...
This is Donovan.
This is Jan.
And this week's episode is called Things That Go Boom. That was the name of the episode, right?
Yep. And a lot of things went boom in said episode, so it was aptly titled.
Including Barbara Keane's, brand new headquarters, which is now, I guess, not her headquarters anymore. This week, Sofia's plan kind of finally comes to fruition, because it turns out she planned everything right down to her visit at the dentist, So Penguin's mad at her, Gordon's mad at her, and they, go to butt heads with each other, and Penguin's like, so, you're here to tell me to stay away from Sofia, right? Oh no, screw that hoe. I'm going to send her on a train. I just want you to help me, Let's never fight over a woman again. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, they're best friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, as friendly as they can be, it was nice to work with you again, Jim, which is funny because I was rewatching season 1, episode 1 today with one of the kids, and it's like, oh yeah, back when Gordon and Penguin, were kind of friends with each other, or Penguin's like, we're best friends. Stop telling people that. You're embarrassing.
You saved my life, though. Yay!
Keep it down. Keep it down.
I love you so much, Jim Gordon.
So, but there's no love lost, with the other people because, Sofia makes her move and kidnaps poor Martine. And so Penguin, in order to get Martine off of the chessboard and protect him, he fakes Martine's death. And in a very, very, shocking scene, which, thank goodness. And then, sends him away. He's like, goodbye, Martine. I'll never forget you. I'll never forget you too, Penguin. You could talk this whole time. I mean... Takes out the pen and scribbles, goodbye forever.
Oh, God, he said I don't want to go.
So now everyone's at war with each other. The Sirens are involved, too, and they're just kind of I don't know if I call them unwilling allies of Sofia, but, at first they kidnap her, then they realize, okay, we gotta work with you. Then they're like, girl, you're just a spoiled brat who no one ever told no. You need to know when to lick your loons and go away. Meanwhile, speaking of, psycho women who Gordon has had sex with, Lee is in the Narrows and basically has a weird B-plot where, this guy is taking stuff from her club and roughing up her stuff, and she says, if you don't stop this, I'm going to poison you. And Don and I actually had an off-mic debate about if Lee actually poisoned him or was faking or not, because I thought it was fake, and Donovan thought that she legitimately did it. And then she has a Wizard of Oz moment with Nigma where he's like, "Are you going to help me get my, riddle powers back? You had it in you, in your heart this entire time. Look in the mirror. You'll see your, split personality. Oh, yeah, he is back. Now we can solve the Ford Focus mystery together because..."
Oh my god. That's that commercial.
Yeah,
There's gotta be an easier way to get it to character.
Because, spoiler alert, if you watch the season 2 Ford Focus commercials, Edward Nigma's split personality was a plot point, but it was Corey Michael Smith had this split personality. It was really weird.
I forgot about that. That was the ending.
You forgot about that?
It was him the entire time.
He stole his own Ford Focus.
Oh my god.
So, and despite what the solicitations told us, there was no Bruce and Alfred plotline this week, which left a lot of people confused. But that's okay.
Yeah, that was a straight up like fib. Is it the first time that's happened?
I wonder if that was just a deleted scenes thing, or if they moved the scenes to. I don't know, but you know how sometimes they show scenes from a plot line and you realize that it didn't really go anywhere, and it was just kind of what I call wheel spinning. I wonder if this was just a wheel spinning thing, and they realized it ultimately was better on the cutting room floor.
Maybe.
I don't know.
One?
A supposed Bruce plotline that was supposed to be there this week that wasn't.
Oh, was it in the trailer?
It was in the solicitations. It was like meanwhile, Alfred and Bruce continue to fight, and then they don't show up in this episode.
Yeah.
Well, they were fighting in the background of every scene. Didn't you see crazy kung fu?
Yeah. While Selena was kidnapping Martine, you see out the window Bruce and Alfred yelling at each other on the street corner.
When she says at the end, Penguin blew up the kid, and I don't mean Bruce Wayne. You pan over and Bruce and Alfred are outside the window.
Hey, how you doing? That was a very Gotham line. Penguin just blew that kid up. Yeah, good times. What are they gonna tell the orphanage?
Oops.
I think the orphanage is probably just going to get dropped completely at this point.
I mean, it's Gotham. There's corruption and there's other things. She probably passed off to someone else. But when they do a bed count for the night, they're "Hey, has anyone seen Martine? He was signed out by Oswald Cobblepot." And then because it's Oswald Cobblepot, no one will do anything about it because I guess Penguin.
He went on a trip with his Uncle Zaz.
Oh, Uncle Zaz.
Well, actually, here's what really happened to Martine, and Don's not going to like this, but so, Martine is sent away, and, he runs away and does what little boys do, which is join the circus, and in being in the circus, he was able to get his confidence back and regain his ability to speak, and, and he learned acrobatics, and, he changed his name to Richard, and, and met a nice couple who also knew Jim Gordon, from season 1, John and Mary, and he became their son. So we will be seeing him again.
Come for my dead body.
Hey,
no, if anything, Martine should come back as an amazing villain.
The rat catcher. Oh, you said amazing.
That'd be really weird. There's this rival crime lord who everyone talks about, but we never actually see. And Penguin's at war with this person, and then when Penguin finally comes face to face with him after 6 or 7 episodes, it's I guess a older preteenish because it's a few years from now, a 12 or 13-year-old Martine, and he's
Aww. He's look, Dad, I got you a city.
I learned it from you, he says on his little notepad, which is now a speak and spell.
he's turning the little dials.
Yeah.
What a speak and spell? You mean an etch sketch?
No, I used to have this thing called speak and spell when I was little.
So you wrote on it and then it talked, or you talked and then it wrote on the thing?
It would you could type on it. It wouldn't talk, but I remember you could type on it and spell words, and it helped me learn how to. It helped me learn how to spell when I was, really, really young.
Did we talk about this online? Because apparently people are suspecting that he's going to be onomatopoeia. Did we mention that already?
No, but they also thought he was going to be Emperor Penguin. They think he's going to be Lady Shiva. They think he's going to be Batman. They think he's going to be Penguin. They think
onomatopoeia is isn't that a Green Arrow?
That is a Green Arrow villain. But so is Solomon Grundy. Or yes, Solomon Grundy's a Green Lantern villain.
Oh, that's true. Solomon Grundy is not Batman's either.
They think he's going to be Loki. They think he's going to be, you know, like Harry
really
Potter. Like, okay, so anyway, what did you think of this episode as a whole?
It was so good.
Take that, Dawn.
Go for it.
Oh, did you think I wasn't gonna like it?
I'm
No.
not as exuberant as you guys are.
I just love Martine. Okay.
Well, can you stop? I hate thinking. No, I don't have nothing against him.
I like Martine, and I love the whole
You were
I like the whole Martine thing. I liked everything between Pig and Gordon, like when he slipped into the Southern accent because he like lost it. Like the fact that Gordon could actually use psychology on him was great.
Oh yeah, I totally didn't mention that in my like fake recap. That right, there was a weird like subplot with Pig that kind of amounted to nothing.
It did tell us who he was. I mean, we know who he was, but we didn't know if it was like the same Pig.
You mean like from the comics?
Yeah, because it's the exact same name from
Yeah.
the comics.
Well,
I feel like that's going to come back and for something.
before I get, I have some thoughts about the Pig thing. Before I get into that, Dawn, tell us your thoughts about the episode.
Well, okay, this isn't one where I'm like, I'm so angry, but like, this was, I think it feels to me like it's been a while since I've seen Gotham, and I loved last episode, it was hilarious. But like, Josh saw this before any of us, and he's like, yeah, this is a good episode. So I sit down and I start watching it, and we go to Arkham Asylum, you know, and, you know, Arkham Asylum is how it always is, you know, mentally ill people are F word, R word. And, you know, the Pig is playing classical music because bad guy. And then Burley, was he black? I don't know.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't like that. And then he hits him, what you gonna do? Ooh, you shouldn't have done that. You know.
Yeah, he said he killed his mom to that song, too.
Yeah, I killed my mom to that song because I'm a bad guy. And then he kills this guy. You know, oh, it's so violent. Gotham. Da-na-na-na-na. And then I was thinking back to like Josh
really
going.
gotta let that go.
And then I think in Josh's head, Josh is like, you know, yeah, this is a good episode. And I was just like, I mean, it picked up a little
Honestly?
bit. Sorry?
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I mean,
This is your time, and I keep.
No, it's all right. It picked up a little bit where I wasn't like hating this episode at all, but like that really kind of set me off on a wrong mood. And honestly, this is one thing I noticed. I don't know about you guys, and I'm not going to play like armchair writer or whatever, but like I found this to be a pretty like paint by numbers episode. In that, what I mean by that is like I felt that like I could see every line of dialogue coming. Like a lot of it was really kind of like, you know. I don't know. It was like, you know, I don't want Riddler. I didn't do it for Riddler. I did it for Edward Nygma, my friend. I was like, and then and then like Sofia was like, you and I are not so different after all, Jim. We're the same. And I was like, you're like the 9th person that said that to this guy.
As she pulls off her rubber Tim Burton mask.
I know, and like. I'm glad that they advanced the Sofia plot because it has been in the background for all the season, and I'm glad that the little boy Martine survived. But you know what? It's not so much that I wasn't liking what it was doing. It's just that like I wasn't necessarily impressed. You know, like Lee can't get this guy, so she poisons him. Maybe not. You know, the sirens say we're not working for Penguin, and then like, you know, they're working for Sofia at the end. Like it felt like it was kind of like kind of just going kind of back and forth between stuff, and I don't know. I'm glad you guys dug it, but I didn't love it. Is what I'm trying to say. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. But I can talk about it.
I liked this episode not as much as last week. I guess in terms of the, you know, plot lines, my one sentence reaction, you know, Pig plot line, WTF, question mark. The Lee plot line, eye roll. But what really made the episode for me was the Gordon, Penguin, Sofia plot line. Like, that I enjoyed. Not that there wasn't moments of it that, you know, were bad, but like that was like what kept me on the edge of my seat and just kind of watching that on hold. That's what made the episode for me. Going back to the Pig thing, that scene at the beginning where like he gets punched and his face kind of like does that weird thing. I was like, oh, is this going to be like Clayface again from season 2 and 3? Or Basil Carlo? Is he back?
Yeah, I thought that's totally what was happening. I thought like, oh, okay, he switched places with that guy.
I was like, this is weird. Like, okay, like, and And I don't know if you guys listened to the finished version of like last week's episode, but like when Ben did his bid, he gave me this whole theory about how like, Professor Pitchley, Barnes, and I'm humoring him, I'm listening to this, but in my head, I'm like rolling my eyes. I'm like, just because, Professor Pig is bald, Miss and Barnes is bald, like they're not the same person. I was like, but good try, but then this episode. But then this episode, like, it's like Pig is someone that we know. I was like, oh my gosh, don't tell me that he's right. Don't tell me.
I know. I was with you, Josh. I was with you. I was like, wow, this kid. And then they said Laszlo Valentine. I was like, thank God.
They really are listening to the podcast, even though that was like a theory that like they would have had to like listen to that episode and then like rushedly like change the filming or something. I don't know. But he has the same name as the comics. But, like, it's weird because Gordon's like, I want to know who Pig is under the mask. As if, like, it's supposed to be someone that he knows. And, like, like, Gordon, it's not like Gordon's like, oh, yes, Laszlo, my partner from the army and my college roommate, like, I should have known it was you. Like, it's supposed to be, like, some revelation, which that was weird for me that they were treating it as a revelation. And, like, why did he have to get, like, reconstructive surgery on his face to avoid being recognized? Is he in the witness protection program? Like, I honestly feel like the Pig thing is deleted scene. And I've been enjoying Pig on the show and everything, but I don't know. I was just kind of all about the Sofia action.
I was actually looking up stuff on Laszlo, and it showed that he actually had a schizophrenic break at one point. So that could have been part of that if they're going with that.
Don, you've read more Pig than Jan and I. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm trying to remember because, like, Pig, was he recently in Nightwing?
I don't know.
The Dr. Hurt was, and I think the Dollmaker was.
Because, I'm very familiar with his first story. Honestly, to be honest, I don't think he's popped up again. But like, he was a popular new character because he's a Morrison guy. Laszlo Valentin is his real name. I don't know where they're going because I was like, okay, so who my thing was who has it in for Gordon throughout the series? We've seen all the major bad guys. Is like Mario Pepper back from the dead for some reason?
Mario Pepper?
I'm trying to think.
That would be intense, man. We just have to stop.
Now, where's my daughter?
We have to stop watching this show. We feel like we can't do this anymore.
His daughter comes like, Ivy, you've grown so much. You have no idea, Dad.
This is my first time my actress is meeting your actor. But
I'm looking up the ogre because someone said that like the ogre's last name was Valentine, but no, it was Jason Skomolsky and aka Jason Lennon. So
they're not gonna bring him back because he's over in This Is Us. But like,
he's dead, like very very dead.
And also, you have to remember they don't need to bring him back because they got reconstructive surgery to change his face.
Oh yeah. It was kind of mechanical too. It sounded like it was kind of mechanical. Like maybe Hugo Strange is like up to his old tricks again.
Ooh, please.
He has Peabody's skull on his desk, and he's like, Peabody, I've given plastic surgery to Laszlo Valentine to make him look completely different. I know what you're thinking, Ghost Peabody. You're saying something like, why would you do a thing like that? I don't know, Peabody.
That's like that. Like, what was it, Jan? That donkey cartoon on YouTube where like Carl, and like after a while he just hallucinates him.
Oh, two llamas.
Yeah, that's like that thing.
Carl.
It's like he's obsessively like needing a straight man. Like,
wait, what's
Peabody needs the Peabody skull has glasses.
I'm trying to think. Who's
two llamas with hats?
I've heard of it.
Oh god, Carl.
Strange, but yeah. I immediately just started thinking, okay, who doesn't like Gordon? Every villain, but like, who survived?
every girl he's ever dated, Bullock,
like,
every cop, like everyone but Bruce.
Harper likes him, and
what if it's
Lucius is neutral?
What if it's Rachel Gould? Because
what if it's like what if it's just Laszlo, and for some reason they're like treating this as like a reveal, but
then that's bad writing.
Well, I mean, because they're like he had a southern accent, and I was like, okay, so it's not Barnes, unless we find out that like Barnes grew up in New Orleans, or like something like that.
That's not a southern accent. That's a Cajun accent.
Wait, did they say it was somebody?
You're tearing me apart.
Say what, Jen?
Did they say it was somebody he knew already?
No, but they were like implying it.
and they said that, and like because Gordon says, my detective skills tell me that it definitely came from the South. Not Alabama, not Tennessee.
Your
not
detective
Texas.
skills, like listening to like someone with a Southern accent, like.
I mean, he didn't specify a region.
Yeah, that's why he said like. He said, like, well, it was a Southern accent. It was like, check if he's from Montana. He had a Southern accent.
Check if he's
What
from
are you
Alaska.
gonna say from the South, dude? He's from New York. He's from Gotham. He's not gonna know like the different ins and outs of how different Southern places sound.
Well, he
should know a
should.
Southern accent when he hears one.
They go to Alabama, and it looks and Alabama looks just as much like Alabama as Miami looked like Miami when he went there.
Fake as hell.
It looks like Cuba.
Yeah, with all the like sprawling mountains that Miami doesn't have because it's flat
Alabama will
land.
just look like West Virginia. No one will know the difference.
Alabama will look like New York City from Futurama for some reason. Like,
yes, the world of tomorrow.
Alabama. Good old Alabama. Well, help to the future.
Do you think that, like, kids, if this is a new character that we're seeing for the first time, but Gordon's like, I'm mad for my past before the show started, I mean, like, they could do that. I don't think that's necessarily dramatically interesting, but that's probably where they might go.
It's just a weird story beat. The whole, it's treated as a mystery, and mysteries have to have payoffs. And, like, if it's like, who is this person? Like, if it's no one that we know, then it's like, oh, and not that I want to be someone that I know. It's just weird. And if it's Barnes, I have to give Ben a pizza or something. But like it,
I don't know. I just feel like I wanted to know who he was too, because he spent all this time chasing him down, and the only name he has is Professor Pig. His fingers are all burned off. You can't just. Well, you can, but when you want to file a report, you got to do like all your research to make sure that everything is. The case isn't closed yet. He needs more information.
It's Alvarez.
Oh God, I'm gonna lay on the floor.
That makes sense.
No, but he needs more information. He needs a name. He needs if there's any more crimes, he needs to connect them. It's like a whole thing. You don't just. I'm not a cop, but I feel like he wants to just be thorough. This guy terrorized Gotham for like months, as he said, and then he went out of his way to focus on Jim Gordon.
Well, also, this guy's actually a convicted serial killer. He's not honestly, I guess he's not anybody that like we would know from before. Because they said this guy committed like 10 murders in somewhere, but he escaped prison. And that means he's going to escape right this second. And Gordon is right. So like, I guess it's not so much who is he, but like how has he affect? Like, why does he not like a Gordon? Because like all of a sudden his motivation's different. Like he used to like Gordon, and now I guess he's obsessed with him, or he doesn't like him. I'm confused.
So, like, okay, explain.
Well, he wanted to purify the police before.
He said, I admire you, Jim Gordon. And then, like, later on, it was implied that, like, you won't forget me, Jim Gordon. So it's like somebody who's doing it out of, like, revenge for...
That's because, like, did you not listen to the psychological profile? He's like, yeah, I'm going to forget you. Goodbye.
I probably did.
Oh, yeah, because it was all about ego. Like, oh, yeah, the newspapers are already talking about, like, the latest Mueller indictments right now. That's not true. I mean, squeal.
Because he went through all that trouble to get all that notoriety as Professor Pig and be remembered for all time. And then he's all like, but it's not your real name. Like, I think the thing was that it felt more like Jim just wanted to know why he didn't want to take the credit with his real name. And then he goes in there and then he's all telling him like, yeah, no one's going to remember you. And he's like, yes, I did. I terrified this city for months. And he's like, yeah, but we have like Penguin and all these other people. You're going to be forgotten the moment I close this door.
I did like
and then he was like, no. That's when he lost it. That's when he lost his cool because Jim is like, yeah, I'm leaving. He's like, no, you're not. You're not leaving me here.
Have a nice life. I did like that where he's like, you're not as cool as Joker or Penguin or Fish. But I'm a pig!
Yeah, exactly.
He gives him the season 1, 2, and 3 DVDs. He's like, all these people have been forgotten. What choice do you have?
Well, Penguin hasn't been forgotten.
Yeah, but like the Doll Maker, Mad Hatter, thank the Lord, Balloon Man, Kaleidoscope Dude, Alan and Montoya.
Kaleidoscope Man.
Yeah.
It's like Mega Man.
Kaleidoscope.
Alan and Montoya, Harvey Dent. Like I was
I
watching.
actually literally forgot about Harvey Dent, even though we mention him like every week.
Every episode, we meet a Dent Alan Montoya quota.
Yeah, it's true.
I was watching the pilot with one of the kids this morning, and I was just like marveling at, man, all these things that were so important to the show back then that like are gone now. Like Alan and Montoya are like these like really important characters, and like, oh yeah, Sarah Essen, I remember her, and like
I never thought Alan and Montoya were like important. I just thought they were there to be like slightly antagonistic and
They're foils.
tantalizing.
well, they were main cast members. Like they were paid as like series regulars, and they had that whole subplot in the first half of the season. You know, where like we're going to track
They never felt like they were actually important. It's like I always felt like once that plot drops, they've got nothing to do.
Well, the embarrassing thing is that like
with Barbara that went nowhere.
Montoya's
like
actress.
tantalizing.
Montoya's actress tweeted very saltily that like she was mad that they weren't on the show anymore. When someone was hired for the show, she was like, "Oh, I sure hope you stay as long as we did." Like it was very clear that like they were not happy that like they got dropped from the show for whatever reason. And
I don't have the tweet in front of me, but I kind of remember something like that. Like I don't want to put words in her mouth where like in case like she was being sincere, but yeah, I do remember that.
You don't write something like that and it'd not be salty. Hope you last on that show as long as we did. Ha ha, bitch.
Wow.
Yeah, she just walked out of that like, her own apartment too, because Barbara's like, I'll leave. She's like, no, you stay, I'll leave. It's like, but you live here. And we never saw her again. She's on a binger and everything. So moving from, I guess, Professor Pig to the whole, Sofia, War, Martine thing. I guess Martine would be like the biggest point of the plot. Yeah, that was so. My tinfoil hat stuff from the last episode, most of it was kind of on the head, and I'm not going to pretend to be a genius for that or whatever, because a lot of the clues were there, like to be picked up. So it's not like I pulled that out of thin air. But yeah, like Sofia totally was, playing him to play Penguin, which was kind of weird. Like sure.
Well, but he said he lied, but he did see her kiss him.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too. Like. It's like,
that
why
so confused me. I was like, but you did see it. You were there and they were kissing.
But he lied about colluding with Sofia, because Sofia told him to tell, which is weird in of itself.
Okay, that makes more sense. Go ahead.
Right. Because remember, she saw him in that hallway, and she's like, what are you up to, Martine? And then presumably she said, later on, you're going to tell Penguin that, like, I kissed Jim Gordon. And then he probably writes on his paper, but Jim Gordon's not even here yet. He'll be here, trust me, like...
Yeah, that was weird, too.
Although, you know what, actually... Okay. This is where the whole thing kind of falls apart if you think about it too much. She told him, say that you saw me kissing Jim Gordon. It doesn't mean that she actually had to do it. Martine could lie. It's just it was just a matter of good fortune that Jim Gordon happened to show up, and she kissed him anyway to make it true.
Can we talk about... Go ahead, John.
I was just like, and then he saw it anyway, so he wasn't lying.
Yeah, but it's like he had to stay there, like just to like cover all their bases. It's
Can we talk about, and this kind of goes into Sofia's character. I get that she's like she wants to be on top and run the city and take down Penguin, but is that is this kind of creeping back into like my original complaint with her characterization? But like I feel that like, I'm learning less about her. Where she's like, she's playing Gordon, she's playing Penguin. Okay, but like, what is genuine with her? Is it just a taking over the city thing? Is it simply just she wants to be a daddy's girl and impress him? Like, does she actually care for Gordon, or is he just a pawn that like he's not responding well to it? Like,
it's pretty well laid out for you.
Well, I feel
in fairness, she lies about almost everything.
Yeah, so, I feel that like in every scene, she is being pretty duplicitous. And that's one thing if she is, but like, where is the actual truth? And if it's just because she just wants to be on top, I feel that like, I don't know. I don't know.
I do feel like that she does want that power and to be in control, and also to show her father, because he's been pushing her aside and saying, this is not for you, don't do this, stay over here. So and she just wants to be like, no, but I can do this. Like I said, it feels like that the second child syndrome, where, you know, like the first child is groomed to be like the whatever, but the second child is better at it. Because Mario is her older brother, right?
In the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if anything, I know he decided not to do it, but if he did, he would have been groomed for that position. And then, you know, the second child is always like, yeah, you got to support whatever. But she was also the girl, and then the girls aren't usually given power or anything. They're usually just protected. So, there's also that. But I also watch gangster films. So.
It kind of unraveled a little bit this episode, where like she kind of like, you know, revealed in a moment of like passion that like she wanted her dad to be proud of her, and she also wanted to like, because he said, you know, he was always trying to keep her in Miami and distract her. So this is her trying to make her own way, and I think she cares for Jim because of like what she was saying to them in the police state, but like everything was
but
a
that
lie
line
anyway.
which is so generic. It was like, you know, you and I are the same, Jim. That's why I made you a homeless captain, so you could have power like I want power. And it's like, I don't know if any of this is true.
Well, because she also went into his office originally, like in like fake tears, like they would try to kill me. I was so helpless. It was horrible. Like when she was like fine, like a minute earlier. So she could be playing him there too. But I think
she was playing him in that scene, and then later she was just like, F- it.
Yeah. And then, as we joked about, he totally like sends. He totally sorry, that's a Donovan and Stella thing. He totally sent her on a train, you know, just like he like threatened to do. It's like there's no other way to get to Gotham from Miami, and like Harper has to sit there the whole time.
No. Well, didn't he fly? Didn't Gordon fly there off screen?
I don't know.
I don't know how he got there, but all I know is that now we know the question to whether Sofia would get a plane out of Gotham or not. The answer is no. She gets a train.
I'm looking up, like, okay, so Brooklyn to Miami. If Gotham's in Brooklyn, which, like, that's where they filmed the show, and it's kind of like...
I thought it's in Jersey.
It doesn't matter. None of this matters.
In Jersey.
Either way, so if you're going to drive there, it takes 18 hours. If you're going to... Yeah, let me check. Yeah, driving there is 18 hours. A train... where, like, because you have to have Harper on the whole time, is a day and 6 hours. And, of course, Harper has to go back, you know, like, they couldn't spring for a plane ticket?
What Gordon wants, he gets.
Gotham's budget isn't
if Gordon
that good.
has to pay for it himself, he's going to probably do the cheapest way out.
And there's no direct... Well, actually, there is Amtrak, you know, but, like, I don't know if Amtrak still runs it, but, like, there's not a lot of direct routes. So, like, Harper and, like, Sofia would have to, like, make all these connections. It sounds like some art film-like movie, you know, where, like, you know, you get a movie about them bonding, you know, on this, like, train ride, which luckily wasn't too long for them, but it was weird. I was waiting for the moment for, like, Barbara to like discover that Sofia's with like her former fiance. Not that I want them to have like a catfight over it, but just like, you know,
because it'd be hilarious.
It is something that the two women have in common that kind of like bonds them. Like, what's the female version of Wiener Cousins?
Oh dear,
I have no idea. Why are you? What? They're Wiener Cousins.
Wiener Cousins are if two men have been with the same woman, they're Wiener Cousins. For example, who are two men that have been with the same woman in this show? Gallivan and Gordon are Wiener Cousins because they've both been with Barbara.
And Raish. So Gallivan and Raish are Wiener Cousins now.
Yeah. So like, what's the female version? And I guess we can make
Pussy
it up,
pals.
like bosom buddies. Like,
No, they just call them sluts.
well, I don't want to do that to them.
Yeah, that's how society is.
In other words, they have something in common, so like that would be an interesting, you know, conversation. But
well, I mean, yeah, Barbara is pretty
It's so aggressive.
very removed from Jim, so it would
I'm
be
sorry.
something. Do what?
I'm not.
I mean, Barbara is pretty removed from Jim, so it would be interesting kind of like tangent. But I don't know. I'm not expecting her to like have any lost love for that. But like
Yeah, we're at the 9th episode of the season that just aired, or no, the 10th episode just aired, and she's had one scene with Jim, and that was when he walks into the club saying, "Where's Ra's al Ghul?"
Well, also like last season when you had that scene between Valerie and Lee, so they can kind of continue that sort of thing. Now that, even though that was kind of Jamie Chung being annoying, but yeah, no, I agree. It seemed like a missed trick, but I guess there was a lot going on. There was very little time before Zaz showed up with his rocket launcher.
That was funny too. They're like arguing what to do, and Selena's like, "Hey, it's Zaz. He's waving to us. Hey, Zaz, that's funny. His hand that he's waving with looks just like a rocket launcher. I don't recall Zaz's hand looking like a rocket. Wait a minute!
I love my job." And then they very quickly escape.
It's a good thing we safely parachuted, or it's a good thing that porpoise, jumped in front of the rocket at the last minute. Batman 66 joke.
Oh, okay. I was just sitting here like I have no idea what's happening.
Oh,
Batman and Robin are attached.
66 movie.
Batman and Robin are attached to a buoy, and there's like a missile heading towards them, and then
you see
like. Yeah, from the Penguin, and you see just like this, and you see an explosion, and then like the next scene, Batman and Robin are like on a speedboat, and like they're like, boy, it's a good thing that noble porpoise, jumped in front of the missile at the last minute to save us. And then,
What?
And then Batman's like, yes, Robin, that noble animal sacrificed his life for ours. We will never forget him.
So the porpoise knew
And then
the
they
importance of
forget
Batman
him.
and Robin. Could make a judgment call within 5 seconds. And then Batman and Robin don't seem to care all that much.
Oh no, Batman's very emotional about it. He's like, that porpoise, like so noble, like saved our life. Like
The almost human noble porpoise.
Yeah, I'm surprised that like we got rid of like this set piece, because like they kind of made a big deal of it, like like this is going to be the status quo. Barbara owns this like gun shop, and then like we didn't really do too much with it. Like Tabitha took like a month to show up to work, and then like they closed it down. Then they're like, oh, actually, we're going to keep it open.
Here's what's going to happen. They're going to take over Sophia's location with her townhouse or whatever. And once Sophia is killed by either Jim, Penguin, or Barbara, they'll have that place to enjoy for the rest of the season.
Unless Zaz shows up and takes it out too because of budget cuts.
Yeah. He's just destroying all the sets. It was funny because Don predicted that Zaz was going to blow up Gordon's apartment, but like no, it was Barbara's apartment that he blew up, I guess.
The jury's still out on that one.
Oh yeah, so I guess it's homeless sirens now. Although maybe they're
Homeless sirens.
Sound off.
And whenever that was it, and I like the sirens this episode, and I kind of like them.
What is that they've been doing all season anyway? Like they've been doing jobs they don't complete. Tabitha wasn't there half a season.
Barbara, you will be my eyes and ears of Gotham and win this auction. I didn't win the auction. That's okay. Sirens, you will go to the Narrows and and kill and
You'll bring me Riddler.
Kill Riddler. We didn't bring you Riddler. Oh, that's okay. Sirens, you will help us take down Penguin. We didn't take down Penguin. And
where is Tabitha? I don't know. She's just not here today.
Oh yeah, and it was like, Selena, you will steal this priceless artifact, and she didn't get to steal it, or Selena, you will bring Thai food to these people, and it's yeah, they're 0 for 0 this.
Oh god, we haven't seen Bullock in 2 episodes, have we?
We saw him at the end of the last one. He's like, "I'll be out of your way, Captain." So maybe.
Oh right. It's just been so.
Yeah, we had a break,
Yeah,
so.
that's what happened. Oh god.
He's taking a lot of
It's
time off this
so
season.
different when you're not binging.
Yeah.
It's so different. I'm sitting here what has happened and when has it happened?
Is it different? How is it different from binging to week to week?
When you're binging, first of all, you don't get as mad as easily. It's like, okay, let's see what happens in the next episode.
Speak for yourself.
And then now it's all like, Raish has been dead for how long? And I'm sitting here on the inside and still trying to figure out what he did to Barbara.
Yeah, we have no clue of that still.
They completely dropped that storyline for weeks.
I don't think that they've dropped it, but I think that, and I was going to get into it at the end of the episode, when we talked about next week, but I think that because next week is the mid-season finale, that we're going to get some sort of, hints there.
Yeah, she'll just show up and
She shows up with a
put her
Rachel
hand
Gold beard.
to, like, his ashen body. And
Isn't
then
that
come back.
right? She says in her voice, "Isn't that right, detective?"
Oh God. Okay.
Some people on Reddit had a problem with Selena being the one to kidnap Martine, but like, you know, Catwoman in the comics has kidnapped kids before. I remember she kidnapped Robin.
Reggie out a window.
She kidnapped Robin a time or two in the Golden Age. I kind of remember, and I remember like the Joker was going to kill Robin, and she like, you know, she was not about that. She's like, "Wait, Joker, I changed my mind. Don't kill the kid. Let him go." But
You know,
like,
I was actually thinking today, like when she did kidnap Martine, like because they make a big deal in the comic books. I mean, like the Golden and Silver Age stuff about Catwoman actually not killing people. And of course, in the modern age, like she'll kill if she has to, but she's not a murderer.
She shoved Reggie out a window.
Well, my point is that like Reggie wasn't a nun. Like my point is that like
you don't know his life.
well, yeah, you could.
Yeah, we did.
Alfred told us.
Yeah, we did. There was like a whole scene of like about how he was a drug addict and he killed people for.
You didn't hear the part where he was a nun for a few years?
No, because I didn't write it. But I mean,
also,
well, I think that like I think you know this Selena Kyle. It's not too different from the other one. Although she's not in school, but like there are limits to what she would do. I do wonder, like if she would have any sort of like compunction against. I honestly, it would be out of character if she like I'll kill this kid if you don't whatever. Because no version of Catwoman has ever done that. But I think that there are times where I think she might.
But you also have to remember, when she was with Fish Mooney, she's like, "Are we going to kill these guys or what?"
But I do remember that when Maroney died, she had a shocked look on her face, like, "Oh my God, shit is going down." Like she kind of like looked a little scared there, and also I do remember like the Sirens kind of being like surprised when Sofia wasn't backing down from the killing Martine thing. Like, wait, like we're not actually going to hurt this kid, are we? And then afterwards, they're like, Penguin. In one of the weirdest lines of the show, Penguin blew that kid up.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. Yeah, none of us saw that coming. But I was sitting there like, Penguin is like so nice to this kid.
I was actually nervous. I thought that Penguin was going to stab him, Frankie from season 1 style, when he like went over to hug him, because just the way that the scene was
actually.
Yeah, the way that the scene was being played out, I was like, "Oh, this kid's not going to survive this scene." I
honestly thought that like the way the scene played out. Because Penguin was so like serious the whole time, he wasn't like being his sort of like monster self. If he had killed Martine, I'm glad the kid's alive. But if he had killed him, I actually thought that would have been good storytelling because he had learned to not rely on. He had learned not to have his emotions be his weakness. So I actually thought the way that it went down was actually pretty strongly told. Now I'm glad that the kid did survive because I don't really need to see that again. But like, I think that like if he pulled the trigger on that, it actually would have been earned in a way. And I would have accepted the storytelling of it, although it would have been dark.
And I'm coming up blank on this, but I feel like we've had that story being in the show before too, where it's like, I love you, but because I love you and you make me weak, I must kill you. And the closest thing I can think to that was when Falcone killed Liza, but I feel like there was a more direct version of that. Yeah, Falcone killing Liza, but I feel like there was something similar to that in this show that's just kind of blending together that story beats.
Riddler and Kringle was an accident.
Yeah, that was an accident.
I don't remember that at all.
Season 2.
No, I mean anything like that isn't Liza. Because Liza's the only thing that sticks out in my head.
Which is funny because we were saying that like Sofia was doing the same plan as Fish was, except like in this version of the plan, Sofia and Martine are both Liza for some reason.
Yep. But what was I even gonna say? Where were we?
We were talking about the whole like the Sirens, and then it kind of blended into the kidnapping of Martine, which I set off.
Oh yeah, you were talking about him getting stabbed, and I was like, yeah, no, I was just sitting there like, don't you hurt this child? I will go to the writer's room and strangle all of you personally. And then he was like, he hugged him. He's like, I care about you, right? And I was like, well, goodbye, Martine. Then he goes in the car. It's like, and that's why I will never let anyone hurt you again. I was like, no, oh my God.
That was very excessive, too. Like, there would have been so many cleaner ways to kill him.
Martin! Like, my friends were like, why are you breathing like that? I was like,
Jam, you're fire!
No.
I don't care! Martin.
Yeah. Because I was just sitting there, like, freaking out. And then they're like, yeah, I didn't see that coming either. I was like, I hope you die. I hope you die a horrible death, you bitch. Oh, man, I turned so fast on Sofia.
So what did you think about when he survived?
Huh?
When he survived.
Oh, yeah, no, it's all like, it's like Zaz, like, goes like, whoop. I was like,
Whoop! That was very fast, yeah.
It's a good thing that he parachuted.
My baby is alive!
The porpoise that saved the sirens also saved Martine.
Exactly, and I was like super excited about it. And then he goes like, I have to send you far away. And I was like, no! One, because, Martine is like, you're my friend now. And, to children, friends are extremely important. If you really want to hurt a child when you're like their friend, you say, I don't want to be your friend anymore. And then that kid will turn into a psycho. Because
Take that, Ben.
What happened?
Ben.
Josh is going to do the same thing to a little child that he knows. I suppose.
Oh, yeah. But you say, like,
get back
I
to you
don't
with
want to
the
be your
results.
friend anymore, like, when you're angry at them. Like, I mean, you guys have had this happen when you were kids, right? People would say, like, they get angry at you and, like, you're not my friend anymore.
Donovan tells me that every other hour. He'll like text me like we are no longer
you were
friends.
children.
And I'm like, why do you keep saying this to me? I know.
Can
you imagine I would?
No?
Nothing definitive. I got into fights, but I didn't have like this kind of declarative, I'm not your friend anymore kind of thing.
You also have to keep in mind that Martine, number one, has no friends, as that episode showed, and number two, he's an orphan, so he also has no family. So, like, Penguin is his entire life. So.
Yeah, but I'm also just trying to say, like, when I was little, whenever we got into fights, I never said it to someone, but someone would say it to me because they knew that it would hurt me, that they, like, I've also seen what it does to other people, because there was, like, this little girl, and she would, like, switch friends every week or something. Everyone wanted to be her friend, and then she'd be like, you're not my friend anymore, and she's like, I'm going to be friends with this person. We were, like, 5 or 6 years old. It was, like, intense. And then you just feel so isolated and like no one likes you sort of feeling. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing I remember with Penguin... sorry, go ahead.
Huh? And then you compile that on the fact that Penguin is his only friend. He's not using him like Sofia is. He wasn't bullying him like all the other kids. He was like taking interest in him, treating him nicely, trying to groom him to be like... showing him attention and filling the void of, like, not only friendship, but in a way, like, being his dad. Like, that's intense. And then he says, I have to send you away. And, like, this kid is, like, really attached. Really, really, really attached to him.
Because he has nobody else, yeah.
And also, it was earned because at first he said, we're not friends, we're conspirators. And then, like, the next episode he says, you're a good friend. And so like... There's a lot of emotional openness with that Penguin shared with him that he really receives.
Yeah,
and I'm kind of relieved that he's being sent away because as much as I like him, I feel like he was in a lot of danger being around, and I was kind of wondering, like, I was like this. I was thinking about the story last week, just what its inevitable conclusion would be, and I did not see a lot of scenarios where Martine was going to like make it out alive. It seemed like It seemed like it would be another, like, motivation for Penguin to go psycho.
I honestly kind of, just to finish my statement from earlier, and then he's all like, I didn't want to go, I don't want to go, I don't want to leave you. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. Don't, just hug the child, just hug it. He needs a hug. Look at that face. Look at that adorable baby face. Just hug the face, just hug it. But, yeah, honestly... I was sitting there watching that entire, like, scene over where Sofia's, like, holding that kid. And I was like, Martine, you've already practiced for this. Just stab her. Stab her in an upward motion so you get the heart.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that would be crazy.
I told you, I turned on Sophia so fast.
And then Alexander, like, Siddiq, like, runs by the screen with a knife and just, like, slashes him and runs away. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Well, I was thinking that, like, I don't think they can kill 2 kids in one season.
Challenge hold my beer.
Challenge accepted. Gordon, no.
I'm looking at the text that I sent to Dawn when I was watching this episode, and I said, and when Martine blows up, I did the F word in big letters, like with a lot of K's, and then I said in big letters, Jan is going to hate this episode, and then like a few minutes later, I texted ... or maybe she won't. Wow, fake outs. I was really worried about Jan watching this. I was like,
it's like, no, Jan will leave the show. She'll stop watching. She'll stop commentating. It's like, yeah.
That's why I said, I was like, do you want me to tell you something that could potentially make you feel better watching the episode?
That's why I asked you if it involved like an animal dying, because if you ever see, here's the thing, if you ever see an animal, like if they kill a dog or a cat, or they even like allude to it, you have complete freedom to tell me about it, because otherwise I'll throw up if I watch it and I'm not prepared for it.
I don't think they've killed dogs in the show, have they?
Anything. If it's a movie, it's like, hey, I know you're gonna go watch this. The dog dies. I'll be like, okay.
Somebody put top 10 saddest anime betrayals when Penguin like fake kills Martine. Like, cause you know that like meme to like you know that like meme like top 10 saddest anime deaths and like top like that like people use for like the B movie and like the Lorax and like
I know the meme, but that's funny. that's good.
Yeah. And then like earlier in the episode, he puts like Martine in timeout and he like yells at him like, "I'm gonna send you back to the orphanage." Like I felt so bad for him.
When did he take him out? Like what's he?
Yeah. I guess he like signed him out or something. Like I didn't get the impression that he adopted him, and if he did, that was like a deleted scene or something. But that like he was taking care of this kid or like letting him like. I mean, I don't think you can just like. I don't know. I guess because Penguin is Penguin and he's like someone in the city, but I don't think.
I think it's because Penguin was friends with Sophia, and Sophia's taken a liking to him, and then he just let him get close to Martine because she started using him at that point. She's like, yeah, sure, just take him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess orphanages. I mean, I don't know.
And also, it's Gotham, and no one cares.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's like so many things. You're like, but the legal ramifications.
Penguin's probably responsible for like so many of those orphans being actual orphans. Like his actions probably killed a lot of their parents. Like
or Lee.
Do you remember? Remember season 2 when like they were like Penguin did that like. All those body doubles who got shot, like that was all those kids' parents.
Oh god. The stupid body doubles that were all like limping towards the whatever.
That was Galavan. That was weird. That was Gotham. You're a weird show sometimes.
Balloon Man.
Balloon Man, indeed.
Dog Man.
There was a point I was going to make about Martine. So if he's so loyal to Penguin, it does beg the question, like, why did he like lie for Sofia as long as he did? But then you get the impression that like because he's a kid and he's an orphan, Sofia was probably able to like prey on his emotions and like manipulate him because,
But at least he like came around and was like, "I'm so sorry."
Yeah. He was so sad, and then
he was really sad.
Time out,
he
and then
felt so bad.
But I was lying about the fact that like she told me to say it, but I did actually see it. That was he's like, "What do you mean you lied? We sang that whole song and everything." Like, so my least favorite plotline of the episode that scene with Lee. Okay, Jan.
Yes.
We will accept whatever answer you give us because the show didn't make you fear. Was Lee lying when she said that she poisoned that guy? Was she just like bluffing and that wasn't a real antidote? It was all psychosomatic, or did she actually poison the guy?
I feel like she gave him enough stuff that made him react that way. Whether he would die from it or just be sick long enough for her to make a point. Because you can mix things that give you like symptoms, like this will make you do this, that'll make you do that. Because she is a doctor and she does know her chemistry.
Okay, so what my interpretation of the scene is I thought when she like sees that vial and she's like, "Oh, I have an idea," like that she walks up to him and she's like, "Oh yes, this vial is your antidote," and that was just like cough syrup or something, and she was bluffing, and the guy just happened to cough them because, as Don was saying to me, like we never saw how she was able to do this and when she did this. So I thought
he was choking.
Yeah, I thought maybe she was bluffing, but then the scene didn't make that clear because I was waiting for like Enigma to say, "Wow, when did you have a chance to poison him?" and her to be like, "Don't be ridiculous," like that was just cough syrup, like, but he'll be fine in the morning.
When did she have a chance to poison him? Because like there was like spies and snipers and guards everywhere, and Lee snuckily.
And like the way that scene cuts when they're walking away, I thought that there was a problem with my version, so I went on to Hulu to be like, oh, well, let me watch the rest of the scene where Lee reveals, like that this was a lie. But then like the scene cuts off on Hulu the same place that my version did.
It was slipped into his drink 30 minutes before she even arrived. So somebody on his side double-crossed him.
If she's telling the truth, but I said I would accept your answer, so I guess I have to.
Yeah, but like he started choking. You don't just randomly start choking for no reason.
It's psychosomatic, but I mean, whatever. That whole plot line was stupid.
That's like
anyway.
An intense psychosomatic, though.
Well, in fairness, he coughs all the time anyway. It was just a matter of time.
I wonder if he's on antibiotics.
Do you think he is? I don't know. That
bronchitis, yeah.
That plot line was stupid. Why is Lee Tompkins a crime lord? Like, why is she
She's
like...
not a crime lord.
And she's like the Scarecrow from Dark Knight Rises, like everyone's going to her for like judgment, as if like, we each want custody of a kid. Okay, tear the kid in half, and you can have, the right half, and she'll have the left half. Next person. Like
that's King Solomon from the Old Testament.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because she has Solomon Grundy like right behind her.
He could always be King Solomon.
Who was wasted this episode? It's like Ning was like, "Can't we use Grundy? Grundy needs screen time." No, we're saving him for the mid-season finale. We're gonna do this on our own.
I actually really liked that she found like a different type of solution where it was like non-violent, no one had to die, because she doesn't want people to die in the Narrows for any reason, because, she is there to atone for like all of Gotham murdering itself.
She's there to atone for season 3.
Yes. So the fact that she went out of her way to like, I don't feel like her intention was to kill him. Even if she did just have something slipped into his drink and he would have died if he didn't concede, but she just felt pretty sure that he just wanted to live. So I do, as I said, I feel like she just made a concoction that made him choke and gave him like those symptoms, because you can have chemicals. You have chemicals for everything that do everything. So she knew, like, you mix this with that, and then you put this and that, and then if he drinks it, it'll do this. She is a genius. She's a doctor.
She's a genius?
Chemical.
I mean, she's one of the smartest people in the show.
Yeah, exactly. She's a chemical genius. She's a doctor. I just meant to say she's a doctor. I said genius first.
Gotcha.
And I did not like her Enigma stuff at the end. And Corey Michael Smith said something at San Diego Comic-Con and also kind of at New York Comic-Con too that like kind of scared me into thinking that he's going to develop romantic feelings for her, which like, oh, that it just makes me so
Which means she's gonna die.
Yeah, that's true. She's gonna be played by Chelsea Speck.
Okay.
But she laid it out a few episodes ago. Like, first of all, he killed Kristen Kringle, who, like, the show tells us that they were friends. We saw them do the double date that time, and then there was the other time where, like, she said, "I'm worried about Kristen. She hasn't come in for a while." So I guess they were friends because they work together, and they're both, like, women, and according to the show, that makes them friends. And, he framed her fiance at the time, which caused, them to break up and her to miscarry. So Don brought up to me that like Lee Tompkins or Leslie in the comics, like she's more forgiving to everyone except for Batman and like Stephanie Brown apparently. So like it's not entirely out of character for her to try and like redeem Ed, but it feels weird.
It is a Leslie Tompkins thing to like be overtly like Christ-like forgiving for the villains. But this version of the character isn't like that. And that's not saying that she should never forgive him. I'm not necessarily saying that, but I don't know. I always keep my eye on this character, and I think that they're developing her fine. I think the point of this whole subplot was to see how is the Narrows going to push her to to go to the dark side, because this show is obsessed with that. But I think that like I don't know if I ever actually had a problem with like the Riddler stuff. I just don't. I never liked that mirror thing where it's implied that he's
that's back.
Because that's just not the Riddler. But her saying like I'm trying to redeem you, or I like who you are now. Which honestly, I don't think there's a gigantic difference in personality. I feel that like he's the same guy. He's just not doing crimes, or he's not doing and he's not doing crimes because he can't think of any. It's not like he's a different person. So that kind of felt like that felt tacked on, because Nigma's whole I'm sad because I was your sidekick. That's not who I am. That felt like it came out at the very end as opposed to throughout the episode.
Yeah, it was very Wizard of Oz. Like you had the riddles in you this whole time.
I did like that he kept telling her like you need to do this or you need to do that. Like he was trying to. I think he's a good advisor, even though he doesn't want to be. Yeah, I did. I also did like the whole thing where she's like, "I like you this way," and then like at the end, he's like,
"I got a girlfriend."
I don't think they're going to go that way, and if they do, it would be kind of cheap. I think that like
I would be very, very upset.
Even though they're indulging in the Gordon and Sofia romance because they just can't help themselves, I've not seen them really get into a lot of other stuff with other characters.
All right, and that was Things That Go Boom. Next week's episode is called Queen Takes Night, the fall finale. Things get complicated for Gordon, Sofia, and Penguin when Carmine Falcone, weak old man, comes to town. Alfred tries to get through the bruise once and for all, maybe, if they air it, while Nigma struggles to gain control over the Riddler persona.
That's funny.
And Tabitha attempts to make Grundy remember his past. Don't you remember you were on season 1 of Malcolm in the Middle? Francis, military school. Meanwhile, a familiar smile resurfaces, it's Jerome, in Gotham in the all-new A Dark Knight, Queen Takes Night, fall finale episode of Gotham. And the guest cast list is Professor Pig, Jerome, Falcone is a weak old man, and Saz.
Jerome.
Yeah, well, I think that's what Penguin was talking about at the end when he's like, "Oh, I have an ace in the hole too," which that was either Falcone or Jerome, I guess. But I remember he was like turning his nose up at Jerome in season 2. He's
yeah,
like,
I remember him kind of just mouth off
guy's...
like, "Oh, that crazy ginger thinks he's so big. Whatever happened to Sideshow Bob?"
Don't you remember Sideshow Bob friend Krusty? Okay. And we've all seen that promo, right?
Nope. They don't have it when you buy the episode.
All right, well let's do a quick watch of that. So is Bruce having a threesome in that first scene?
Yes.
A non-penetrative threesome.
I don't have a problem with the teenage spiral. I don't have a problem with alcohol, but for some reason I have a problem with underage sexual threesomes.
I don't think they can. Isn't there some sort of law with underage actors? I remember hearing about this when during Superbad.
They all have their clothes on in that scene, but it's implied.
I think it'll probably show that they'll probably say some line, of course, it's a good thing that the girls, slept on the floor or something. They have had underage sex on Archie, but or Riverdale rather.
Archie.
Yeah.
Archie.
Well, I feel that they are clothed, and I think that because I remember in Smallville, like there would be all this sort of teases with Clark Kent, but he didn't have sex with anybody until Lana in season 5. Remember he got married and
all over Gossip Girl. None of them were 18. Lots of sex.
Yeah, it depends on
the Vampire Diaries, sex. Secret Circle, sex. Any teen show on CW. Oh, a whole bunch of sex in the Secret Life of Teenagers.
Oh,
on
yeah.
ABC.
Remember
ABC
Undressed?
Family? And what else is there? Pretty Little Liars. One of the students was having sex with her teacher. And I think they
Jessica
continued that relationship until the end of the show.
Oh my god! How old was that character?
I think it was like her senior year of high school or a junior year of high school, one or the other. But the teacher didn't know she was a student until like she went into class.
The teacher didn't know she was a student.
Yeah, they met in a cafe.
At which point I would break the frick up with that person. Like, oh, you are a student, this relationship is wrong and should have never got this far. Not like, hey, let's continue doing this till the end of the show.
And that was our review of Pretty
Little
Little Liars.
She's no longer a student, so...
The Gotham Chronicle was filmed before a live studio audience.
Well, I think there is legitimately. I'm curious. I mean, they could pull a trigger on this, and I don't think you care because like.
Please don't.
It wouldn't be my preference, but it is sort of like in malaise. My thing is that like with this promo, he's like, okay, he's acting bad, he's acting racist, all this stuff, but all of a sudden, like, the camera zooms in and he looks evil. It's like, Alfred, do you think you could stop me? And they're like fast fighting in like the library. It's like, okay, there's a difference between being a teenage punk and being like evil, and apparently the show just does not know the difference.
Theory, he's Ra's al Ghul.
Theory, bad.
He came out of Barbara.
I don't even. It's what's going on? I mean, honestly,
I'm having Josh's voice in my ear. Yeah, this is a good episode, and all this stupid shit.
I was glad when Bruce turned into a giant frog and leaped away as Alfred cried, "Come back, Master B!"
Lucius Gordon, he's turned into a frog again.
Don't worry, I have an antidote, because I forgot to mention Lucius was in this episode for like a hot minute. He's like, oh yes, Gordon.
He's Black
By the way, yeah, so Bruce may or may not be having a threesome. I guess, it's like, we're going to need everyone against the Penguins, so maybe like Bullock will like come in like the Millennium Falcon at the last minute.
They didn't show
why
up,
is,
so I don't know.
Why is Bruce angry? I don't know. Maybe because he's Ra's al Ghul in Bruce's body?
Would you be serious?
I think he's still dealing with it, and he's tired of... I think he's just tired of Alfred. Alfred is like getting frustrated because he doesn't know how to raise a child, and he's trying to like fix things and trying to make it so that Bruce doesn't end up like a terrible human. And then Bruce is just pushing back as a teen does when you push them.
You don't know.
And
who I really
also,
am.
like, as much as he loves Alfred, Alfred is still his butler. So he has to, like, there's a weird power thing in there. And I don't know if you guys read Zero Year.
Half of it, then it dropped out. What you're saying right now played out in the last episode, where like he says, "Clean this shit up," and be my butler. So it's thematically sound. I'm not even mad about it, but I don't like. And I know it's for drama and it's promotion; they need to make money, but like. It's that thing where, like, okay, Bruce is acting up and Alfred must stop him, but it escalates like them, like, Dragon Ball Z fighting in like the library of the manor. It's like, honestly, because I think at this point Alfred can outfight Bruce, so it's like, why are we? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. He did have that memory acupuncture training in the temple.
Oh yeah, and he is the Black Shadow, so
he is the one. The chosen one.
He stops.
Oh wait, no,
Alfred.
or is that
Neo?
Jim.
Oh no, I don't think Bullock's going to be in the episode because I feel they would have shown him, but maybe.
Since when are these promos accurate?
Meanwhile, Alfred and Bruce are in this episode. They're not.
So until next time.
This is Jan.
This is Don.
This is Josh. And you've been listening to the Gotham Chronicle podcast.
We'll see you guys at this mid-season finale.
now have to hate Sofia for the rest of my life.
Well, she didn't kill him.
Yeah, but she would have.
Yeah. Which, like, it's like, dang, you, like, started that you're, like, the worst orphan master. I don't know what her role is at that place. Like, she's, like, there, but, like, is she, like, the Miss Clavel of that place, or, like,
she's
what?
a benefactor. I don't think she runs it. I don't think she's the head.
She was doing, like, paperwork a couple episodes ago.
Oswald, I'm very busy, and he like looks at those papers, and it's just like, you know, pictures, my evil plan, step 1, and it's like stick figure of her like kissing Gordon. Plan step 2, stick figure of her rubbing Penguin's feet. I can explain these. Step 3, she's like driving out of Gotham with like a bunch of like old school like money bags that have like dollar signs on them.
And then she gives them to Martine.
Yeah, that's right. Like,
he had them already, so it just looked like he was drawing, and then he just turned around, and it's on like this picture that Sofia showed him.
You were a great accomplice, Martin. Thanks. I couldn't have done it without you. You could talk.
Sounds like a very white. What's it called? Hold on. No!
Why not?
Just give me a second. I'm busy.
I've given you more than a second. We're doing this now.
Sorry.
We've all been there.
Oh, my mom just started yelling at me through the door. Oh.
At least she's not setting a fire alarm off.
Yeah. What was I saying?
I'm on long car trips. That's when I think of these like song parodies, and I was like, I'll do the Chipmunks theme song from the 80s, but it'll be the Sirens instead.
We're the Sirens.
Barbara, Selena, Tabitha, do.
There's two little letters. Sirens.
We're the Sirens, guaranteed to bring you success if you want an auction or something. I don't know.
Oh my god.
We're the Sirens.
THESIRENS.
Bingo.
Barbara, Selena, Tabitha, do.
Barbara!
Okay.
Okay, now we can do that in Sophia's voice.
She's
Wait,
Dave Seville?
Sophia's Dave Seville. All right, you Sirens. Are you ready to kidnap? Are you ready to kidnap Martine? I'll say we are. Ready, Tabitha? Yes. Selena? Yes. Barbara? Okay.
Basically, yeah.
Basically, yeah. They're anthropomorphic chipmunks.
Living in the suburbs with, you know, Sophia Malcolm.
Rest in peace, sanity.
Oh, God.
I guess.
Jim actually has a lightning bolt scar under his hair.
on a skull. On the
You're
skull.
a wizard, James. I'm a what?
homeless wizard as he like flies away on his broom.
Freeze frame at the end of like Prisoner of Azkaban.
I'm imagining like an animated Ben McKenzie doing like the Bewitched intro.
Here's our next opening.
Bewitched has no lyrics.
I know, but you're just gonna do that. And people are just gonna be like, "What was that song?"
Yes,
he jumps into Marina Bakarin's arms and like turns into a cat. And his mother is Endora from Bewitched. Like, you know, what's going on with you and Durwood? Mother, her name is Lee. I told you. Durwood doesn't even sound like it.
It's Bullock.